Hi there, this is Andy from DakkaDesign and welcome to the second part of our 3D Studio modelling tutorial. Today what we're going to be doing is using the reference images that we imported in the first part of the tutorial to build a really low detail kind of scaffold just that we can base the rest of the model on. So we're going to get straight into it. We're going to need a box, and I want to go to the left view, so I'm just hitting the L key, and we want to make sure auto grid's switched on, and we're just going to drag a box out. This can be really rough, and we're going to go back to perspective mode, and you can see that that box, because we've used auto grid, is actually on the reference image. So the first thing we want to do is convert it to an editable poly by right clicking and selecting convert to editable poly. Then we want to go to the top view and select vertex mode. Now make sure ignore back facing is off and select those verts there. Use the move tool, and we're just going to drag those verts out so that they are in line with where they need to be. And then we want to grab these verts over here, drag across, and just line them up like so. Let's go to the left view. Want to grab the top verts and just make sure they're about there and about there. Okay. Now, because this is a it's going to be a low detail model, I'm just really doing this quite roughly at the moment. But as you can see, that part of that box now fills the space up where it should do within our volume here. What we want to do now is create this top part here and this bottom part. So let's go to face mode or polygon mode, select that top one there, and let's just extrude that by a little bit. And let's go to the bottom and extrude that as well. Now, if I press F4, you'll see that we can actually see our edges. And what I want to do is just go into left view and select those top verts there, drag them up, select the front ones, drag them back. They're going to be about there. Select the back ones and put them there. And when you're doing this, you can spend a lot more time than I am. Grab these bottom verts, drag them down, front ones, drag them back to about there. These ones here, drag them to about there. So as you can see, we've already got that shape, but we need to go to the front view, and as you can see, it's a big square block. So what we want to do is grab these and scale them in, and I'm just doing this by eye, and we're not actually using the spin section reference image for this. I'm just scaling it to what I think is about right, and then I'm going to grab these, drag that in a little bit further, excuse me. Okay, so you can see there that we've got the beginnings of what the front of the ship's going to be. Some people call this the hammerhead. So that's going to be the start of that front part. Okay, so what I want to do now is extrude out this middle part here, and I know from the reference images that this is actually a little bit narrower than the hammerhead. So what I want to do is select edge mode, select that edge there. Let me just get the selection tool in case I inadvertently scale something, and I want to get that edge there, so I've just held down Control to do multiple selections, and I want to do a connect, and I want to do connect by 2 times, and pinch, I want to stretch them out. Let's go to about 70. Brilliant. And let's just hit the tick button. That okays that. And then what I can do is click this poly here and extrude it. That's fine. Go to the left view, grab those 2 verts there, or 4 verts, sorry, use the move tool, and just drag that out to about there. Brilliant. Back to perspective mode, and that's starting to look quite good. Happy with that. Okay, so I just clicked the vert button there. That takes me back to the top level, and what I want to do now is I want to create a cylinder. Again, make sure auto grid's on, so we build on the actual geometry that we've created there, and let's drag out a cylinder shape. Do this really roughly. Okay, now we want to reduce the height segments to 1, and let's increase the sides to 20. Okay, now let's go to the left view, click on that again, and let's just adjust the height. So the height is going to be that big. What we're building here is this kind of spindle shape that runs through the middle of the spin section. So it's like an axle that the middle part of the ship rotates round about. And let's just modify the radius as well, so that that's about the right radius. Go back to perspective mode, and what we want to do is convert it to editable poly. We want to use Alt-A and just align it on the x-axis with the centre of the hammerhead. Nice. Okay, now what we want to do is, because it's an editable poly, select this main poly here and do an inset, and let's just inset that to about there. Hit OK. Now let's go back to the top level, hold down shift, drag a copy of that, and then rotate it by 180 degrees. Make sure angle snaps is switched on. That's your angle snaps button there, and that will rotate by 180 degrees. Then what we want to do, go to the left view and just slide it until it's there. Back to perspective. Now we've got two objects here and we want to create the axle. Now we could create that from another cylinder, but all I want to do is hit attach, attach both of those objects together, then select polygon mode. And I'll just reselect them just so you can see how to do that. So you select those two polys there, and then just click the bridge button, and then Max fills in another cylinder for us. So there we have the kind of centre axle. Okay, so we're going to need this back section here. Now I know this back section is the same dimensions as this part, so what I can do is actually copy this part of the geometry here. So let's go back to the top level, select this object, go into polygon mode, and select all of those polys. Again, making sure that ignore back facing is off, and just double checking visually that we have all those selected. Then what we can do is hold down shift, drag that to copy it as a separate object, go back to top level, select that other object, and select border mode, select that border there and cap it. So now we have a completely enclosed object again. Go to vertex mode, and in the left view, then all we need to do is just drag that out like that, and drag that out like that. Okay, now what we need to do is select only this end poly, and we're going to bevel it this time. So let's just bevel it out an amount and bevel it up an amount as well. Okay, and then all we need to do, go back to vertex mode, select those end verts, go into the left view. You can see there's a pattern forming here, and what we do now is just scale them in that z-axis like that. Go to our top view, and you can see it's a little bit narrow, so we're going to scale that in this axis like that. Okay, now you can see this looks a little bit narrow, and that's because there's a kind of spine that runs longitudinally along the ship. So we're gonna fix that when we come back to make this more detailed. As I said, don't worry, we're just building just a scaffold at the moment to sort of base the rest of the model off of. Okay, so this end bit, now the drives have all kinds of circles and cylinders and stuff going on. All we're going to do is just extrude out a block. Again, it's just the scaffold. We're going to come back and fix that later on. Let's go to the left view and vertex mode, move tool, and that's going to be sort of there. And you know, we'll come back and we'll do all this stuff when we do the more detailed pass of modelling. Okay, next thing we need is just a box to represent the spin section. So let's go to the top view to create that. And box, auto grid on, and let's just drag that out like so, and move the mouse up to give it some height, and then click again. And when we go back to perspective mode, we can see we have a box. So let's go to our left view and just move that up. Oh, now I've almost nailed the height of that. That's pretty good. So let's just convert that to an editable poly. Go into vertex mode, grab those verts there, drag it up a bit. This part of the scaffold we won't actually use at all for the more detailed pass, but other parts of the scaffold, what we're going to do is actually use them as the basis for the more detailed part. The spin section we're going to build completely differently from all the other sections, so don't worry about that too much. What I do want to do is just align it, so Alt-A and select the spindle, and we want to align it in all three axes, centre to centre, and there we go. Okay, so one thing I want to do now is I want to just put this stuff in different layers. So let's just select all the reference images and open up our layers manager, which is this thing here. This is your best friend when you're working on complex models. So what we want to do is click this. So create a new layer containing the selected objects. We click that, double click on the name and just call it the ref layer. And what we can do now is just hit this hide button and you can see all our reference images disappear. So that's really useful for switching things like that off. Let's select all the other boxes and stuff, create a new layer, and we're going to call this our scaffold. And you can see we can hide and unhide that. Brilliant. Okay, that's us. We've basically covered everything we want to for this part. In the next part of the tutorial, we're going to start the more detailed modelling of the front section, the hammerhead section. Any questions, criticisms, or any comments at all? Give me a shout at DakkaDesign.com. And look forward to the next video. Thanks for watching.